not write the things because they had, they had been living under penury, under poverty. So there are few contributions from him. One of the most important contribution from Madhava is that he gave the accurate value of pi at that time, most accurate value of pi at that time. Why do you think accuracy of pi is important? Why accurate value of pi is important? Up to 4 decimal and all, it was known before him also 4 5 decimal, but he started finding out much after that. Why is it important?
To find the area of circle.
But area of circle, if you get an approximate figure, it's fine. Nada. I mean, it's 2 3 decimal if you know 3 4 decimal. What will you do after that? To make
Size
right.
of Earth. Size of Earth, you know.
Yeah, yes. You see, you want to know the traveling path of Earth, the circumference and diameter. If you know it exactly, only you can have the travel lines, right? So if you do, Earth is circular. So if you want to understand the exact calculation of Earth diameter, circumference, and all those things, you have to have the good approximate value of pi will not be sufficient, because if you calculate the distance from here to America based on the angle, see that and this look at from here, they have an approximate idea that US is in this angle or Europe is in this angle. But then if you want to really calculate which is the ship direction, what direction you want to take, you have to have a very accurate value of pi, otherwise you will miss the direction, like what happened to Columbus. Okay, so this person Madhava, he found out a method. He realized that the value of pi is between 3 and 4, but then he didn't try to calculate the value. Who gave a method? He told from 4 you reduce 4 by 3, 4 minus 4 by 3, then add 4 by 5 to that, then reduce 4 by 7, then add 4 by 9, then reduce 4 by 11, then add 4 by 13, then reduce 4 by 15, then add 4 by 17. You see, the value comes very close to pi. The more you add, the more closer you get to the pi. We call this with a name in mathematics. Any idea this method? You express a number as the sum of so many numbers, sum or subtraction of so many numbers or multiplication of so many numbers. We call this with a name in mathematics. Any idea? Have you learned about progression? Arithmetic progression, geometric progression, and all those things? Any of you, have you learned? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. What is it, Ben? Pranav, Ben, what is it?
Finding the nth term using an equation.
Yeah, okay, but more than finding an nth term, what it is doing is you are showing one number as sum or multiple of many other numbers, right? Yeah. What will happen if you add like this: 1 by 2 plus 1 by 4 plus 1 by 8 plus 1 by 60 plus 1 by 32? What will happen? What number you will get? Yeah, Krishna. Yes. Yes, Pranav. What you will get? 1 by 2 plus 1 by 4 plus 1 by 8 plus 1 by 16 plus 1 by 32 plus 1 by 64. If you add, what you will get? What number you will get? To half, you add quarter, then you add half of quarter, then you add like that, like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. Just think mathematically where you will reach. Geometrically, just think where you will reach. See, for example, if you take like this, see, assume this is 1. Assume this is 1. What is 1 by 2? 1 by 2 is here, right? Plus 1 by 4, you reach 3/4. Plus 1 by 16, you reach here. Plus 1 by 32, you reach here. Plus 1 by 64, you reach here. You will get very close to 1, but you will never reach 1. You will get close to 1, but you will never reach 1. Yeah. So these are some methods to represent some numbers. It has its own huge applications in mathematics. But here, this gentleman called Madhava found it out. This is what we call as power series in mathematics. And people thought it's a European gentleman called Grigori is the one who found it out. So we used to call it as Grigori power series. But then later, some of the books from Somayaji, Parameshwara, who all are disciples of Madhava, which was dug, it is realized that it was Madhava who found it out 200 years before Grigori. So now we call that series as Madhava-Grigori series. And now there are research which going on to understand what else are the contributions of Madhava. And there is a big theory that what we call as calculus today, the roots of it has come from Madhava, and from there it went to Arab, and from there it went to Europe. It's not a confirmed thing, but there are a lot of developments, the thought process in that. So this book by this gentleman called George Georgis, Joseph, called The Crust of the Peacock. So this is a book which talked about what we call as Kerala School of Mathematics. Just not much known before. In the recent years, it has come to light. Yeah. So if anyone is interested, you can buy it. Going forward, so now what we talked about few ancient civilizations where science has developed, and then we talked about Then we talked about what we called as a Greek civilization, which we are thinking as something very close to making a scientific revolution. Like we told about the medical science, Hippocrates, Galen, and all those things. Archimedes, we talked about Socrates, Aristotle, and all, who were like apostoles of philosophy and all, and many other things which was found out of that, Euclid's geometry, and we still learn all those things, which means that science is still valid today. So now we talked about a lot of contributions from many Indian scientists. Now we are going to talk about another what we call as a scientific revolution, very, very close to what we call as the scientific revolution which happened in Europe in 16th and 17th century. Another place during 8th century to 12th century. During 8th century to 12th century CE, a very huge scientific revolution happened. And they are the people whom we call as today's father of algebra, father of physics, father of optics, father of alchemy. Almost all those things are the scientists from that time. Can you guess which place we are talking about? During 8th century to 12th, 13th century CE or AD. Almost the entire science which we talk today, foundational stone being laid after the Greek. Rishikesh, you can put to everyone so that all can understand. You can put to everyone. Mega says Egypt. Good guess. Any other guesses? Which region is that? Where scientific revolution of the sort happened, and the world believes that if they had continued that, probably instead of Europe, that region would have been the most developed part of the world today. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So that region is struggling today in terms of development. Okay, so I see Greek, I see Indus, and Clemy got it right, which is what we call as the golden age of Islam. Okay, unfortunately, many people think what we call as Iraq, Syria, Iran, and all are very backward regions. But you have to understand that is a region which actually contributed one of the maximum to the science today. Okay, but it's unfortunate that things went for a toss. So this is straight from the lion's mouth, that the ink of the scholar is more sacred than the blood of the martyr. Straight from Prophet, it says that the knowledge, the importance of knowledge they gave at that time, after the 7th century, the invent of Islam. You see, there was a caliphate called Abbasid Caliphate, who had one of the largest empire at that time, and their empire spread from Arabia to major parts of Asia to Europe, even till Spain, and all were under that empire at that time. And then there were two great kings, great king called Harun al-Rashid and his son Al-Mamun, who actually are the first people who started what we call as government-sponsored research, like the universities, like what we see today. There were universities before also. We had Nalanda, Takshashila, and all in India, and in the Greek side also. But huge research universities, and they started translating books from Indian, Greek, Persian, and all those things. And this is what they established, what we call as Bayat al-Hikmah, House of Wisdom. So they used to invite scholars from all part of the world, translate all the books, learn. And the Al-Azhar University in Cairo, like Mecca told, Egypt, was in 970 it came out. And then in Baghdad, there's so many things. Have you heard about this gentleman called Al-Khwarizmi? Anytime? Yeah, Rishikesh has heard. Yeah, Benedict has heard. Yep, right? He is the father of algebra. You know why it is called algebra?
Sir, it means a rejoining of. Actually, it comes from a word al-jabra.
Algebra. Yeah. So
it means rejoining of numbers.
Yeah. So all this all what we see as al. Is there anyone who is from Middle East here, or who has studied or lived in Middle East? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Alan, don't you know most of the names will start from al there?
Yes, sir. The places also. Alco.
Yeah, Ritesh, right? So you think of anything from al. What are the names you can think of starting from al in science and maths and all?
Algebra.
Algorithm.
All those starts from al, belong to them. Anything more? Alkali, alchemy, right? So many als are there. Okay, so alcohol. Okay, right? Have you heard of this gentleman, Al-Hasan or Ibn al-Haytham? Have you heard? Ibn al-Haytham. Yeah, he's one of the tallest scientists of all time. Unfortunately, we know Newton, we know Galileo, we don't know these people. Okay, because the West is in control of the world today, so they will always talk more about their scientists. Okay, I will put a poll at this point. I just want you to try that poll.
Sir, you've made me the host. I can't do the.
Withdrawing your first permission.
Sir.
Yes.
So I can't see the polling because I think I've been made the host. Co-host.
No, I have removed you. You removed your co-host permission. You can see it now. Okay, I will.
The poll again.
Yeah, I will read it out. I don't know. Others let you attend. Others attend. All others. So this is the question, Elisa. Can somebody read out the question to Elisa?
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
The question is, you see objects because then there are three options. First option is light from your eye falls on the object. Second option, light from object falls on your eyes. Third option, when light from your eye meets light from the object.
Megha, can you repeat?
No, she's saying you are seeing objects. Object means some objects. You are seeing because of three reasons. You can pick one reason from that. Reason number one, light from your eye falls on the object. Reason number two, light from the object falls on your eyes. Reason number three, light from your eye falls on the light from the object. Like two lights meet in between. Like Mahabharata serial you have seen, right? One Bana goes from here and another one comes from there and meets midway. So few more people can answer. Okay, shall I close? Last 5 seconds.
Sir,
Okay.
only 60% have voted.
Yeah, I think some people might have some other problems, maybe in their mobile or something. Anyway, I'm closing the poll. So this is how you have voted. Okay. You can see that, right? So almost all of you have got it right. Now, but you know, this knowledge, what you have, actually came from this gentleman called Alhazen. Okay, because till that time, till Alhazen's time, people thought that you are able to see something because light from your eye is falling on that object. So that is the one of the reason people went behind what we call as people tell you see people talk about our horoscopes. When people talk about horoscopes, this is one major thing they will tell, right? You see, you are born on so and so time, and that time Rahu was here, Shukra was here, and Saturn was here, and that will affect you. So people thought that time when you look, you see Shukra or you see Saturn, Shani, and Shani is there. But the fact is that what you see is something which happened some time back. But you see something when the light from that object falls on your eye. So when you look at space, you may see something, a star, which is probably 10 light year behind. 10 light year behind means what? What you are seeing now is a sight which happened 10 years back. Even for that matter, you know how much time sunlight takes to fall on your eyes?
8 minutes approx.
8 minutes approximately, which means if sun bombards, you will not get to know for 8 minutes. You will not know for 8 minutes that such a thing has happened. Yes, right? It is like sound. You see somebody far off, if they make a voice, sometimes it will reach you after some time, right? Not immediately. So if the more far they are, it will reach after some time, right? So that is that people ask when there is thunder, why you hear this sound later. You first see the lightning, then you hear the sound later, right? So in our school also, there used to be a very funny answer for this. In our school times, we used to tell a very funny answer for this. Why you hear the sound later, and why you see the lightning first. Yeah, but there is a very funny answer people used to give for this. I don't know whether you all have heard about it. So a lot of stories used to come for that. So used to tell because the eyes are in front and the ears are on the back. In school answer paper, it seems the story is that one student wrote it that way. That's why you see lightning first and hear the sound later. The story goes that one student wrote that because the eyes are in front and the ears are in the back. Okay, so you see, so that is the it happens faster, right? So similar way, light also, whatever you see as light, when you see a Saturn or a Shukra or something, actually you are not seeing the current picture. So what are these people when they make horoscope? You tell you have to tell exact time, that second precision. Yeah, that second is of no meaning. What you see there, first of all, there is nothing comes from Saturn or Mars or anything to here which is affecting your life. Okay, so anyway, so those are comedies, what we call as horoscope and all. If you understand science properly, you will be able to put it positive. Okay. So now there are more scientists. You see alchemy, what we are saying, okay, and you know why, how alchemy got developed? Have you read this book called Alchemist by Paulo Coelho? Anyone? Have you read the book Alchemist? Yes. What is the story? What's the storyline? Why is that person traveling all the way? For what? Treasure. You see, one of the reasons how alchemy got developed, people want to learn shortcuts of making gold. People felt there are methods to develop gold shortcut, right? So they were after that. So you have to understand, it is not just Malayalis who are after gold. There were people in Arab side and whole world also after the gold. So they are always searching for methods to make gold. So during that process, they developed this entire alchemy and they developed, invented new kinds of things, methods, distillation, all those things. So in every part of the world, sometimes there could be something which triggers science, which need not be scientific reason. You know, one of the major reason of developing science during Arab time, there are one of the major things which they were after. One of the major thing was, I don't know if there are any people who are following Islamic faith here, they will know. Is there anyone who follows Islamic faith here? Anyone? Okay, so if you have friends, you can ask them. You know, as per the Islamic faith, you have to pray with a direction, like when you do namaz, you have to be in a direction which is focusing on the Kaaba mosque.
Towards the Mecca.
Towards Mecca. So that's why if you travel world around in any restaurants and all, you will see that mark, arrow mark towards which direction is Kaaba, so that you can do namaz by looking at that. So this was one of the thing which many in this Arabian world they were bothered about. Okay, so they wanted to identify from any point which is the direction to Makkah. And if you want to know, tell that accurately from any point, you have to have a very good understanding about the earth, the circumference, the diameter, the angles. So that is one of their motivation to develop science. And another was to find out gold. You see, something which we think as trivial stuff, something which we think is not scientific stuff, is what actually many times we learned that Chinese had superstition that north forward houses used to bring luck. Right. So then there are a lot of people who developed planetary computers. Ibn Sina, who wrote a book called Canon of Medicine, is very important. And we'll talk about a gentleman called Al-Biruni, who is a very important character, who started something called a branch called Indology. Yeah, Indology is a branch studying about India. Okay, it seems the stories that he came to India, stayed here, he understood the language, he translated the books. So we'll talk about that. You see, that is time people started questioning what we call as geocentric universe or the Ptolemaic universe. You remember the story of Earth as the center of the universe and everything is rotating the Earth. This is the story at that time. So people were believing at that time. Oh yeah, Megha has heard of Al-Biruni. Where you heard Megha? Any idea?
In some book I read.
Very good. Okay. So the belief at this time, even this time, people believed that Earth is the center of the universe. Sun and everything is rotating around us. Okay. Obviously, we are the only planets and star system in this whole universe. That was the belief, and people started questioning that at that time. Right? And more importantly, there is a person called Al-Battani whose astronomical tables, they used to painstakingly measure the distances and the time taken for something to rotate and all those things. And all those astronomical data, they used to make tables from that painstakingly, which was later used by Copernicus, who is actually the parish priest who first came up with the observation that it is not Earth which is the center of the universe, which is the sun which is the center of the universe. See, that also we know it is not right. Sun is not the center of the universe. At least it could be considered as the approximate center of the solar system. But that was proposed by this gentleman called Copernicus. But then he used some of the tables from this Arabian era. Yeah, Rishikesh said about Ibn Sina and Al-Biruni and all those things. Right? Okay. So now we talked about Al-Hasan. So in his memory, what Al-Hasan did, Al-Hasan conducted some very simple experiments to prove that the vision works not because light goes from your eye to an object, but because light comes from the object to your eyes. But then at that time, people didn't have the methodology, didn't believe that you should conduct experiments to find out something. So Al-Hasan could arguably be one of the first experimental scientists. You know what he did? He did a very simple experiment. You won't believe that simple experiment is what turned the science. Because that knowledge about light, this was very important. How vision happens is very important in the development of science. So what he did, he kept a dark room. He kept an object. And he stood outside and he made a small hole in the window. And outside there is light. And from that window and that hole, he looked at that object. You have to understand, there is no light inside the room. So he kept an object and he looked at it from the window. Can you see? If you keep something in a dark room and you look from outside, can you see something? Can you or can't? You can't. Obviously, right? You can't see, right? And then he just lit a candle and kept it in the dark room. Then what will happen? What will happen?
The candle.
You can see.
We can see the camp.
Yeah. So see, such a simple experiment proves that you are able to see things because you are standing outside where there is light. If it was because of light going from your eyes to the object, he should have been able to see before. Now, when the candle comes in the dark room, if you can see, that means light from the candle goes to that object and it reflects and comes to your eyes. Very simple experiment, which probably today we think it is very simple and that time it was big. Okay, and he developed the first camera. Based on this idea, he developed the first camera. You know what is its name? Many students make it in schools as experiments.
Is there a pinhole camera?
Yeah, it's called pinhole camera. There is a name for it. Just pinhole camera. Pinhole is technology. There is no battery at that time, right? Yeah.
Heterogeneous propagation. The principle of pinhole camera.
Yes. Okay. So that was there is a name for it. Anyone? Okay. So that is called camera obscura. That is your assignment today. Okay. You can try to explain the principle behind camera obscura or what we call as pinhole camera. Okay. How do you make it? And actually 2015, 1000 years after his first camera, This was in 1015. Ibn al-Haytham made that. So we said the world celebrated 1,000 years of light. You know that name itself is philosophical. 1,000 years of light. Why is it philosophical? Why that name is philosophical? When we celebrate 2015 as 1,000 years of light, what does it mean? It is not just the invention of light. Anyone? Lateral thinking? Does it click anything to you? Someone tells it is 1,000 years of light. You see, Alhazen was ushering light into a dark era where people did not understand the basics of vision. It is not their mistake. You know, this is how things get developed. So he brought light to the world. Okay, so it was 1,000 years of light. It was a big, huge celebration. Okay, so this was Al-Biruni. So this was one of his astronomical table on how the moon's rotation around Earth. And this is something called a miracle which he did at that time to calculate the diameter of Earth. Okay, and the first calculation for diameter of Earth actually was by a Greek. The known record is from a Greek scientist called Eratosthenes. That is the second assignment for you today. What was Eratosthenes' method of measuring diameter of the Earth, which is in BCE, okay? So, and this gentleman Al-Biruni did a much advanced method, okay? With this, we will stop today. You know what is this method? Listen carefully, okay? See, the mathematics behind this is simple, which you will understand after some time. But the method is what is stunning. So, he was looking at a mountain where he can climb on top of the mountain and measure this angle with respect to the straight line. Okay, so angle measurement is a very old technique. Have you heard of something called astrolabe? Astrolabe is an instrument which even from Greek times people used to use for angle measurement, for many other measurements, for knowing planetary systems and all those things. Okay, so now Rishikesh message to everyone, okay, so that all can understand. So now you see this angle he wants to measure with respect to what? With respect to horizon. Horizon means from mountain you should be able to see the last point in Earth. It is just like when you sit in, say, Kanyakumari or places like that, or Sri Lanka, you should be able to see the Earth's curvature so that you can see horizon. So he wanted to identify a place where from a top, if he looks, he can see horizon so that he can measure this angle. And he calculates mathematically what is the height of this mountain. Mathematically, there are methods in trigonometry where you can calculate the height of mountain through, there are methods. And from these two information, from this height and from this angle, he calculated diameter of Earth or radius of Earth and then the diameter of Earth. Okay. Now, the mathematics of it, probably some of the students in 8th, 9th and all may not know. Is there anyone who is studying in class 11 or 12 here? Anyone in class 11 or 12? Yeah. So what is the name? Yeah, Ario. Okay. Can you just make an attempt? Can you just think any method if you know this angle and this height? How can you calculate the radius of the Earth? Anyone who is in 11th or 12th or maybe in 10th? Can you just think? Is something triggered to you? Okay. See, the mathematics is simple. So what happens if this
Using a
angle?
satellite.
Yeah, Ben, tell. Yes, Ben.
Using a satellite.
When satellites are not there at that time, we are talking about 10th century, 11th century CE, right? If satellites are there, you don't need. I am asking through this method, if you know this angle and the height of this mountain, how do you calculate the radius? Actually, that is pure simple maths. So those, those who want to check. See, if this angle is A, you assume if this angle is A or alpha, what is this angle? If this is A, what is this? We'll stop with this today, last part. If this is A, what is this? This angle? Come on, this is simple, that is not complex. If this angle is A, what would be this angle? Anyone? Is that tough? If this angle is A, this whole angle is 90 degree, you know. If this is A, then what is this?
90 minus A.
Yeah, that is 90 minus A. No, yeah. What is the big deal? If this is A, if this is 90, this is 90 minus A. What is the big deal in this? And if this is 90 minus A, what is this? If this is 90 minus A, what is this?
90 minus A.
180 minus this 90 minus A plus
What is?
C.
Tell me the value.
A.
See, that is A, right? Yeah, come on. See, if a triangle is if a triangle, if you add all the three angles, you get 180 degree, right? Three angles of a triangle, if you add, you get 180 degree. Is it not? If this is 90 right angle, then this plus this is 90, and if this is 90 minus A, this should be A. So in other words, if you look at it, if this is A, this is one line, this is one line, these two angles make this A. And you see this line is perpendicular to this, and this line is perpendicular to this. So if this angle is A, the perpendiculars also should make A. Okay, that is the simple geometrical part of it. Okay, now if you assume this is radius, then this total length would be R. If this is R radius, and this total length will be R plus H, because this is H if this is R. And now actually for those who are studied that trigonometry should be able to write an equation called R plus H cos A is equal to R. That is trigonometry. R plus H cos A is R. From that you can derive what is R. He calculated radius as 6,339 kilometers at that time, 11th century CE, which is very, very, very close to the value which we found at that. And this gentleman was wandering around the world to find out a place where he can climb on a mountain and see horizon. You know where did he found it out? You know where did he find out this place? It was like a film shooting.
Mount Everest.
Yeah, this mountain place and this place, this location of this film shooting. He really searched, and he found a place. It was in current Pakistan. So he was looking at, see, the mathematics was very simple for them. Whatever mathematics of it was pretty simple, but fine. This idea is the killer idea. If you have a horizon and if you measure this angle and if you calculate the mountain's height, you can find this. That was the killer idea. Okay, so with that we'll stop today's class. Any doubts, feel free to ask.